What's up, Scryptonauts? Welcome back. Got a quick one here for you today. With all the changes coming in and Babylon approaching, I thought it might be helpful to make a quick run through of updating the Scrypto toolchain and, sort of how do you handle these incoming changes? What do you do as you need to keep up with the new versions of Scrypto that we release on the way to mainnet? So, why don't we jump over to the docs here? I'll show you real quick what we've got to do, and then we'll step through the process together. And I can that way I can explain sort of what's going on with each piece of the way and give you a little tip on how to get started refactoring your project as well at the end. If you have something that you already started building in a prior version of Scrypto. All right, so let's jump to the docs and get that rolling. All right, so what I've got pulled up here is the Radix documentation site. And of course, I am in the Scrypto tab on the toolchain menu here, update Scrypto. All right, we got written instructions right here, good to go. We're going to update Rust first to make sure the underlying Rust language is up to date, ready to go. Because of course, Scrypto is built on top of Rust. So first step, make sure that's up to date. Then we're going to jump into our Radix Scrypto repository on our local machine here. And we're going to pull in the latest changes and then reinstall our simulator and reset it. All right. So let's get a terminal open here. I'm just going to go straight to it. So this is my local copy of the Scrypto repository. I'm going to open a terminal right here, just new terminal at folder, so that we can run these commands and get things up to date. So first up, let's run our Rust update, copy that in, run it, and my Rust is already up to date. If you were working a little older version, you might see a bit more fly by the terminal, but there we go. On time of recording this, I'm on 1.67.1. Okay, so with that, we've got Rust updated. Now, the next instruction is to move into this directory, which is where I already started. If you do not have this on your system anymore for some reason, or you need to reinstall, you can always just clone the repository again. This is coming from the Radix DLT GitHub organization. This is the official Scrypto repository. All right, so we've already got that. We're navigated there. Now we're going to run this command here, git pull origin main. All right, so let's run that and we'll talk about what that's doing. So git pull, obviously we're pulling the latest changes in from a Git repository. In this case, origin main. So origin is this right here. Where did it come from? Okay, so if we cloned it from the Radix DLT GitHub, our origin is the Radix DLT GitHub. All right, and then we're telling it main, which is the branch we want to pull from, because obviously we want to be on the latest production deployment. We don't want to be on some other branch, okay? So we run that. It's going to pull the changes in. For me, it tells you it's already up to date. Obviously, if you're updating, you should see some things being downloaded and merged into your local repository. Now, just to make sure as well, if you want to check locally, make sure you're on the correct branch. You can run git branch -v. And it will show you what you got going on. If you were messing around somewhere else and you forgot you're still on some other branch, make sure you're on the right branch. All right, so I'm already on main, as you can see, indicated in green here. This is where I'm at. So we have pulled in the latest changes from GitHub. Now what we need to do is, just as in the step when we first set up the toolchain, we want to install the simulator. Now, because we pulled changes in, we want to reinstall the simulator. Okay, so this is the Radix Engine Simulator, the tool resim that you interact with your blueprints locally. And so we'll just run that command to get that reinstalled. As you can see, it's now installing version 0.8. If you're watching this in the future, you could be on 0.9. If you're really lucky, you'll be on version 1. We're heading there fast. All right, so with that, we've got our install all set. Now, what we need to do is one last thing, which is resim reset. This is just resetting our simulator to make sure, kind of like restarting your computer after a major update. Same sort of thing. All right, so resym reset. We can run that. We get a data directory cleared. So now let's just check if we can generate a new account. Resym, new account. We get an account created. In fact, it's even created with a non-fungible badge for us. All right, so this has been set as the default account. There we go. So we're all set to interact with our Radix Agent Simulator on a local environment. So all fine, that part's pretty easy. Now let's dive into how do we go update our projects? How do we know what we need to bring up to date in the dApps, in the blueprints that you're building as we go? So let's jump into that next. Let's just open a little example project here. Actually, before I do that, let's jump back into full screen. So obviously we're going to jump in our project, figure out what's changed. Well, the first spot to look for that, again, in the Scrypto docs, we have release notes right here. Expand this out. There's old notes here if you're coming from somewhere further back. Right now we're going, our latest one was version 0.7 to 0.8. So that's what we're going to walk through today, is kind of how do you get started on that? What do you need to know? So this is your document here to kind of scan through and see what sort of changes might affect your project. Obviously you may not be using everything that gets updated, no big deal. But if it's something in this list, you probably need to go update your code. Okay, so let's jump out here and get a project opened. We can just drop this one on VS Code here. And the first thing I like to do, look at that, it's already on the cargo.toml. But open your project up. You're going to want to come to this cargo.toml. And as you can see, the dependency is still looking at version 7 for Spore, Scrypto. So all of these dependencies right here are related to the Scrypto repository, as you can see by the GitHub address that it is pointing to. So we want to change, the first step is to we updated to version 0.8. So let's go change all these to version 0.8 so that Rust Analyzer will recompile our project. So I'm just going to do a Command D or Control D if you're on Windows to edit multiple lines. And I'm going to change that 7 to an 8 and save. Now it's going to start trying to recompile. One thing I am going to do is come up here and delete this cargo.lock just to make sure that the project gets rebuilt from scratch. We don't have any leftover cache dependencies and get weird behavior, because that can happen. So not necessarily a requirement, but certainly a strong recommendation that you go ahead and delete that cargo.lock and let Rust Analyzer generate a new one as it rebuilds your project. All right, so first step done. We've switched to version 8. Rust Analyzer looks like it finished thinking. So now let's jump into our file. Okay, so because we made an update and we know we have some breaking changes, we get this. First up, just follow the red, all right? One of the updates in this version was much better code completion, and we want to refactor that. So if we look at our docs here, on the change orders, we see, oh, okay, it's now highlighting blueprint in red. Well, why would that be? Because this was changed. All right, so now we need to come in and update the syntax. Simple change, but a very beneficial one. So what we're going to do is just like this. This is really our change right here. Okay, so it's still wrapping in curly braces. Blueprint, exclamation mark, has now changed to this syntax right here. Okay, and this was to give better code completion and code hinting in the IDE. Okay, so in fact, let's just split the screen this so we have it for reference right next to us. And let's get our project the same way. Okay, so move things over here. Let's close this up. We can close this up too, just so we get a little more real estate. And then all we got to do is come in here and see that, all right, let's refactor our blueprint macro. So now we need to give it a snake case name. The name can be anything, but it should be snake case. All right, so mod, and we're hello. We'll just call this hello. All right, but first we need our hash, square brackets, and blueprint. And as you can see, now we're already getting much better hinting. And there we go. Okay, save, and now that red goes away. Okay, we've made our first refactor. We're on our way to having successfully updated. Now that we change that macro, we get a little more information that says, oh, hey, wait. Initial supply has now been changed to mint initial supply. There is a similar method. So it's trying to guess for you and tell you, hey, this is what you need to do, which I happen to know that is the correct refactor for that. We'll save that and we're good to go. Okay, now obviously this is a simple one. There's not much going on. Quick and easy. Hopefully yours is the same, but if you find that there are additional items, one, follow the compiler, see what it complains about, and then if you need reference, also look at the change doc here to see what else may have affected your project. All right, that's it. I'm going to wrap it up at that one. I hope this helps you guys get through the update process a little bit easier, a little better understanding of what's going on and why we have to do what we do as things update. And I will see you in the next one. Have a good one.